Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Blue Please right here on CynicalBrit.com. Continuing our classicalism interviews, we had Lasana on to talk about Druids, and she did a fantastic job of explaining those weird classes I don't really understand myself, but I'm sure she did a fantastic job. We had Terpster on, who didn't really do anything other than confuse people, but hey, it's Terpster, that's understandable. We love him anyway. And today we've got the expert, as far as I'm concerned, one of the only people within the WoW community to have a gun, I believe, named after him. It is the one and only Big Red Kitty.
Oh, it's Big Red Kitty, larger and larger than ever before. At least that's what my card here that they said I was supposed to read says. But I'm here, hi!
Excellent, you've got your own WWE ring intro, it's awesome. Should we put some music behind that?
Oh, I've got all types of stuff that's going on like that. I really want to get a hold of Randy Macho Man Savage to do my intro for all my videos.
Excellent. We'll try and get a hold of him at some point in the near future. Right,
that works.
The question is, I suppose, to those heretics that don't know who you are you and what are you doing here?
I am Big Red Kitty. I am not the oldest WoW blogger out there, but I have been referred to by many people, inebriated and not, as the grandfather of WoW blogging.
Interesting.
I have done Warcraft blogging since basically I started playing back in 2005. And I started out doing Upper Blackrock Spire and Lower Blackrock Spire when Molten Core was the begin-all and end-all of everything. And people were doing a little bits of, I went out and I did this quest, and I did out and I did that quest. And I started doing Hunter Guide movies of how to trap and how to kite and how to jump shot. And people said, wow, you suck. So I got better at it. And eventually, I got a little bit of a deeply disturbed cult following and had a whole bunch of stuff. And we've done... Oh my goodness, we've had gnome races to help out worthy causes, and we've sold t-shirts, and we've done everything all the way up through Ulduar, and then I shut it down because I just wanted to get on to something else, start writing my book, and then this thing called Cataclysm came out, and Ghostcrawler gave me a call and said, dude, you want to come play with this? And I said, no. He said, what if we pay you? I said, no. He said, what if I bribe you? And I said, no. He said, what if I blackmail you? Okay, I'm in. So I've been recruited to help out with the beta testing for Hunters for Blizzard, and I've been allowed to blog about it since the NDA was lifted with the passing of the alpha, and here we are today with you.
Fantastic stuff. So tell me about this Cataclysm. What's it all about?
Well, apparently, something deep into Earth just went boom, and everything's changed, and I think it's pretty sweet. You know, you go run around and you get to level to 85, and you get a whole bunch of new zones and a whole bunch of old zones that have been redone, and you get to see all your favorite characters and a whole bunch of new ones, and they're allowing a few DNA changes so other classes can be races and specs that they've never been before, and it's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff to do. It's just not as in your face as the last two expansions are, where here's a new continent. Now, this is just a reformulating of the old stuff, and it's pretty sweet.
Excellent stuff. So on the subject of this DNA swap, this kind of thing that, to be honest, disturbs an awful lot of people. Human hunters? What's with that?
Well, I have been a dwarf hunter since I failed utterly at my mage. And I'm all Alliance. I've really never done anything on the Horde side. So I've played Night Elf Hunter, whatever. It's boring. Nobody likes Night Elves. And I've done the Dwarf Hunter from Here to Infinity and Beyond. But I got to do an Alliance Human Hunter. And I'll tell you what, people talk about the Van Cleef quest series out in Westfall and how fantastic it is. And I never really understood it because, you know, I can't play a human priest. I can't do a human warrior. I'm terrible at it, but I got to do it as a human hunter. And yes, it's changed in Cataclysm a bit, but it's still phenomenal. I totally say A+ for the human hunters. They did a great job. I'm thrilled with that.
Excellent stuff. There are also Worgen hunters, as I've been told, and I got to play one of them during the Gilneas starting zone. Now, have you had a chance to do the Worgen stuff yet?
I've done all the Worgen stuff as far as you can do the Worgen stuff, and I was doing the Worgen stuff when you couldn't even do the Worgen stuff, when you'd get to level 3 and do the Borked quests, you couldn't go any farther. And, you know, the Worgen zone doesn't thrill me itself. The Worgen class itself and the characters itself does, but the Worgen starting area is so it's depressing. It just is. It just is. And no, there are people who like undead. Imagine that. Maybe one or two. So if there are people out there who like the subtleties and the nuances of a slightly depressing and a zone, then yeah, they'll really, really like it. And of course, once you get out of the starting zones, you can go do Stranglethorn Vale and get back into the stuff you really, really like. I love the Worgens. I just hate their starting pet. That's a bad pet. I'm completely against it. You're completely against the Mastiff. You have some kind of moral objection to it. I have had a very serious discussion with the developers and Ghostcrawler himself about the Hunter classification system for the pets and the fact that they're putting a Mastiff in as a wolf. And if you actually follow the taxonomy out of it, it's really not. They're totally different. Wolves, foxes, and dogs are all different, but they're all being classified as wolves. And all right, fine, I can deal with that. But I want canids, or I want dogs. I want something specific. And I wouldn't mind having dogs. We got cats, give us dogs. And then give us a lot of dogs, not just one Mastiff. I want it expanded. I'm not happy with the Mastiff. Excellent. I'm glad to see someone's crusading on that very important point. So, in terms of the Hunter starting zones, you may have had the pleasure, I say in inverted commas, of the disappearing pet bug. Did you get to experience that? I got to try that, and it's hunters themselves, when we've leveled from 1 to 10 without a pet, that was bad enough. I did a whole movie series on it about how you're supposed to learn how to kite and jump shot, and it never really works. It just turns into hitting things with your little axe. And now every other class but then except the Worgen got to do it properly. And then you do it with a Worgen and you go, I don't get a pet, I don't get it. No, forget it. And people lose their patience and they don't bother. Yeah. That was a joy. Yeah, I know the pain. Those fast-moving mobs, they're very tough. And, in fact, the new focus system really hinders you there. What do you think on focus as a whole? I am pro-focus. I just want people to understand that focus is not going to make playing a hunter that much different. It's going to be making your ability to manage your resources much more critical. I'm right now almost level 83, and when I'm soloing, if I start out with the wrong sequence of shots and pet abilities, I'm out of focus in 3 shots. And that's at level 83, because the focus is only 100. It does not increase as you increase in level. So if you go out there with an Intimidation and a Serpent Sting, and you try to go with another, not a Sting, what's the other thing called? Scorpid debuff. The Scorpid debuff. You can't do all 3. You just can't. And so you've got to figure out which ones you want to use at the right time. It's much more resource management focused now, as opposed to just having unlimited mana and you can do whatever you want whenever you want and then just pop into Viper and back out. Indeed. So what kind of rotation would you say recommend for a questing hunter around level 80? Well, unfortunately, they've put all these talents in there, and if you go onto one of these sites like Wowhead or whatever, and you look at the talents, you go, ooh, well, I want to see something that was a movie about that. Well, unfortunately, they don't tell you that some things are not yet implemented. Mm-hmm. Some things don't work right. It'll say a tooltip and it does something completely different. So I'm a big fan of Beast Mastery because I really like the symbiosis between a pet and the hunter. And you can do a marksman, you can do a survival. I consider them more of those mail-wearing mages. All right, you're going to shoot stuff, well, whatever. I like Beast Mastery. Go ahead, do what you got to do. And so what I want my pet to do is be a mini tank, and I want it to hit that mob really hard so I never pull aggro off of it. Well, right now, when you're starting at a level 80 in Cataclysm, you could start out going against stuff a level higher than you are, which means that your Growl has a much higher chance to miss, which means it's not going to grab as much aggro, which means you're going to pull it off of your tank, and it's going to start chasing you around. You're going to have to hit it with your little axe, which we all don't want. I'm a big fan of Intimidation. That's why Beast Mastery Hunters are getting Intimidation in their Mastery class. So you want to go in there with an Intimidation, hit it hard, Serpent Sting, because these things out there, level 82, they've still got 40,000 health. These things are not pansies. And you smack them hard, you debuff them, and you bring them down. Yeah, they recently buffed the health, actually. As you recall, they doubled the health of the starting stuff in Hyjal. Oh, yeah, it's cruel. It used to be like take 3 or 4 or 5 seconds to take something down. Now you can be fighting for 10 to 15 seconds on just running around trash quest mobs. So you've got to maintain your focus and use your pet to its proper ability and try not to aggro 2 or 3 things at the same time unless you're really good with your trapping skills and you can crowd control those things yourself.
Excellent. So with the current state of the Hunter talents, what would you say is... It's difficult to come out and say what is the best spec, but what's the best all-round spec that's just going to work in a lot of different situations?
Any of the 3 will work. You will be okay.
Excellent.
As they change the mechanics behind it and they change the physics of the game, we've seen Beastmaster be way too low, and then we saw it way too high. We had a Beastmaster Hunter with an aimed shot doing crits of 30,000. So you'd open up with an aimed shot crit and then go into all your other stuff, and it's just stupid. But they've kind of balanced things out together, and it looks like right now Marksman is a little higher than the other 2, and Beastmaster is a little higher than Survival. But, you and I right now are downloading a brand new patch, and goodness knows what's going to be in there. We don't know what's going to... By the time this publishes, it could be all changed, it could be all different, we don't know. But what I've been lobbying for the whole time is I don't want to be told this is the spec you have to use, this is the pet you have to have, and if you're not doing this, you're not doing it right. I want lots of options. I want people who love their guns and their bows to be marksmen. I want people who love to be able to crowd control to go survival, and people like me who love their pets to be able to be a beast mastery pet and run high-end content. So that's what I'm focused on. Any hunter worth his salt can level. A hunter is the easiest leveling class there is. It's the hardest one to master in high-end content. That's my opinion.
Fantastic stuff. So, the way that the talents currently synergize, is there anything that you would say to Blizzard needs to be changed, and if it ends up going live in that state, it is going to impede your ability to enjoy the class and play it to its full potential?
The first thing was hunter pet focus regeneration, and they have changed that. They've made so that men pet no longer costs focus. I mean, that was 2 huge things. You'd send your pet in against something really bad, and you dump an improved men pet, and you drop an intimidation, and you're out of focus. You can't even fire. So getting men pet off the focus system, that was really bad. They fixed that. Right now, until this latest patch comes down, I don't think I'm going to see anything that makes the class completely broken. They've really worked hard at it. The other thing I was really concerned about was focus while on the move. Focus regeneration on the move. Now, they're giving us a new aspect called Aspect of the Fox, which will allow us not only to regen focus faster, but also allow us to shoot auto shots while moving. That should help us tremendously. But until it actually comes out, you could be 83 right now, you can't even train it. It's not available. Maybe the new patch that comes out will allow us to have it. But that has been the 2 biggest things, is pet management and losing focus while on the move. You couldn't regen focus if you were moving. And it seems like the big theme around of Cataclysm is movement. It used to be it used to be healing was the big. Now it seems to be movement. You got to get out of the fire. You got to get out of the circles. You got to move. And if a hunter's moving and he can't regen focus, he can't hurt anything, and that's not good.
Yes, indeed. Mages have actually got the ability now to cast Scorch while moving, so they wanted us to use that spell, obviously, but there you go. So, yeah, movement is good, honestly. I like fights to be dynamic. I like them to flow. I like people to have to get the hell out of the fire and not just stand there and die. So, yeah, good stuff. So, here's a question for you. This has been a debate for years now, as far as I can see. I'm not big into the Hunter class because I've never really played one, but I see it around the forums every now and again. This topic crops up, and it's that of the Dead Zone. And the Hunter Dead Zone's been changed a number of times over the course of the past 6 years. Currently, it's sitting at, I believe, about 5 yards. Do you think the Dead Zone still serves a purpose? And if so, are there any alterations that you personally would have them do to it?
The Dead Zone used to be where you could do no melee damage and no ranged damage. And it was called a dead zone specifically because that. Well, we've always had a minimum range to shoot, and I don't have a problem with that. But right now, there is no real dead zone. We have enough trips and tricks to get out to 5 yards so we can shoot anything or close the range to hit it melee. The dead zone does not concern me right
Excellent.
now. Well, so we're perfectly fine with that. What I do want is short-range weapons, i.e. pistols. And I keep shoving that idea down their throat, saying, look, we've got crossbows and longbows and rifles. How about some short-range weapons? How about a mini crossbow that sits in your hand that you fire one-handed, or a 6-shot pistol that'll do stuff from very short range and it's very specific use? And that's what I'm trying to get across. I lost the ammo fight, so I'm trying to get the short-range weapon fight. I may lose that too, but we're trying.
Well, tell me about the ammo fight then. What was your opinion on that? And obviously explain to the viewers what's actually happened.
Okay, with ammo and the current version of the game, you have to have bullets or arrows to use your ranged weapon. To use those, you don't have to, but it helps to keep them in a ammo pouch or a quiver, and one of these bags would take up one of your bag slots. So hunters, since the day WoW has been out, have always been down a bag slot to every other class. And hunters have said that's not fair. And I've always said, this is something we should not complain about. It's something we should enhance. I wanted there to be many, many, many more types of ammo other than just the increasing the DPS of it. You hit level 60, you can use a better power, higher power ammo. You hit 80, you can use it. I wanted fire arrows. I wanted poison bullets. I wanted to get all the classes and all their professions together to make some really cool stuff. Barbed arrows that you had to go to a blacksmith to get, or a bullet that had a little tail on it that a tailor would make that would carry some type of stinging potion in it. I don't know. I really wanted it to go outside the box. Bosses could drop special ammo. You could craft special ammo. But they went the other way and they eliminated ammo. In Cataclysm, you do not need bullets, you do not need quivers, you do not need you don't need arrows or bolts or anything. You magically have ammunition. You never have to worry about running out of ammo when you're going into an instance anymore. And because of that, you no longer need a ammo pouch or a quiver, so you can get rid of that and it turns into a bag. So we get all our bags slotted. It dumbs it down, it makes it easier. And I was fighting to make it more intricate and more fun.
It seems to me that there's a great possibility for compromise there. It's funny you should mention this, because I mentioned the same thing as soon as they announced the whole universal ammo thing. I mentioned, look, isn't there a possibility that you could put in these special types? Why is it that we can't have a setup whereby you get an ammo type that you load into your weapon, but is infinite? So say you load in a fire arrow, and that fire arrow will keep on firing until you swap it out for another one. Why can't we compromise there?
Was two divergent paths. They either had to go down the road of really developing the ammo concept and really enhancing it, or just getting rid of it altogether. And unfortunately, I think they chose the wrong road. I'm sad about that.
I would have to agree, honestly. I think that was a great potential concept, and hopefully they'll revisit it at some point in the future. Right, so I want to ask you about your general impression of Cataclysm at the moment. What kind of state do you think the beta's in? What have you been enjoying the most? How's your experience been so far?
Well, I tell you, starting out a new baby hunter at level 1 and finding the trogs are going crazy, that just really shocks your brain, because you start a new alt, you know the zone, you know the quests, you know where everything is, and then all of a sudden it looks the same, it smells the same, but the mobs are doing different things, and there are trolls over there. What are they doing? And where did this trench come from? And it shocks your system. When Burning Crusade came out, and you'd go in and you go, okay, I've got a new continent. I don't know what to expect, and I can enjoy the majesty that the expansion is. You're going to go into Cataclysm, and part of you is going to rebel. I don't like this because it's not what I expect. You run down to Stranglethorn Vale, and you've still got the stadium, and you can... But around the stadium, it's completely different. And then you go into Barrens, it's completely different. You go out to the drag strip in Thousand Needles, and it's underwater. I mean, come on, you're racing boats now, and it's very hard to reconcile appreciating what they've done with the fact that they've assaulted your past. They've changed what you're used to. Now, in some cases, the changes are really nice. Desolace was the worst. Now it's not. It's really cool. Ashara was worthless. Now it's really cool. But you'll go into Stranglethorn Vale and you go, I miss this. But then you'll go to a goblin, and you go to the goblin starting zone, and you'll freak out, and you'll just call all your friends over and say, this is freaking cool. Because it's new, and you're not used to it. But when you go into Gnomeregan, and it's no longer the ugly instance that nobody ever wanted to do. It's a city now. You get wistful, you get a little sad, It's very melancholy. It'll pull at your emotions because it's not what it used to be. It's like you can never go home again.
Fantastic stuff. That's a great perspective to have on it. So, what exactly are you doing right now? Have you got any projects in the pipeline? Anything coming up?
What we're doing is the Hunter Tour of Cataclysm. I've been doing lots of 3 to 5 minute movies showing the stuff that I think is going to basically be in the game when it comes out. For example, I just did a movie of the Abyssal Seahorse. Now, they're going to have the Abyssal Seahorse in the game so that you can get around Vashj'ir on a quote-unquote flying mount. It's a swimming mount. And if you go to BigRedKitty.net, you can see the Abyssal Seahorse in action. I also did a movie of the quest you have to do to get the Abyssal Seahorse. And for anybody who was in the beta recently, they've known that the quest to do it has been broken due to terrain issues. Well, the quest today versus the quest before it was broken has changed. And it's not so much that they fixed the quest, they made the quest just completable. It's really dumb. And let's not kid ourselves. It's a dumb quest to get your Abyssal Seahorse. But I'm not going to show that movie because I think that quest is a placeholder for a more intricate, more worthy quest. So I've got it. I don't like it. I hope they change the quest because it's a dumb quest. So I'm showing stuff that I think will come out the way it will be. I'm not showing shot rotations because it's all going to change. I am showing some new pets that are coming out because those pets are going to be there. I have not done any 5-man instance zones because they're always changing. If you're running around Vashj'ir, you'll go into a cavern and it's totally different than it was the day before. They're changing the layout of everything. They're changing the talents. They're changing everything. But there's some things they are not, and that's what I'm trying to do. A tour guide of stuff that's what you're going to see. So you're not disappointed when you say, well, that's not what Big Red Kitty showed back in August. Well, I'm sorry, they changed it. I don't want that. I'm trying to avoid that.
Excellent. So you head over to BigRedKitty.net for everything that you're doing at the moment.
Everything I'm doing is at BigRedKitty.net, and that includes beta previews and T-shirt sales. I've got a brand new artist who's doing some really fun stuff, and we put the sales up for a week at a time. And it's essays and reader mail and anything I can think of. Now, I actually have a real full-time job, so that unfortunately interferes just a little bit because my boss has got this firewall, and it really sucks. But we're trying to do something every day. I try to get 2 or 3 movies up a week. I'm trying. We're not as prolific as some sites, but we like to think that we're a nice little community, and we go back a long way.
Fantastic stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only BRK, right here on Blue Please.